Welcome back to Track Tested. This is a little series we've been doing here on Gears and Gasoline. And today we've got a little bit something different for you. So far, we've been testing SEMA cars here around VIR, seeing if they go as well as they show. But today we are going to be testing two completely stock cars. So behind me is a Honda Civic Type R, the FL5 chassis. This is Honda's newest and fastest front-wheel drive offering in the United States. And then this is Toyota's answer to that. This is their all-wheel drive Corolla GR, and it has a little 3-cylinder out of the WRX GR. These cars are obviously direct competitors, so there have been a ton of comparisons in the past, but what I'm really interested to see is how these cars go around a racetrack being driven by a pro racing driver. And this is our pro racing driver. This is my buddy Coby Shield. Kobe, how you doing today?
Great, how are you?
Kobe and I go way back. We actually went to high school together, and I went into YouTube while Kobe went into IMSA, SRO, Grid Life, and SECA. So Kobe, what do you think about these two little hatchbacks we got here?
I absolutely love them. I'm super excited about these because they're both cars that, like everyone else at home, I probably would love to own as a daily, and even a fun track car. So I'm stoked to see how they compare. All-wheel drive versus front-wheel drive. The new Civics are obviously a weapon. This is a newer platform for Toyota, at least with the all-wheel drive system and everything, so I'm stoked to see how they compare, for sure.
Yeah, me as well. Have you been maybe looking at getting into one of these?
I have. I've priced both of them. I've looked at both of them. I don't have a huge bias, so it'll be really fun for me to come in and try both and see, just from a complete outside perspective, and see what I think.
Do you have any predictions about which one you think is going to be?
I think the Honda's going to be quicker for sure.
Yeah.
I think the Civic Type R will most likely be quicker. The people at home have probably seen that the Toyota has some overheating issues potentially with a few different things, so I just think as a complete track package, the Civic will live a little bit longer and can probably allow us to put a better lap together, but I could be wrong, but we'll see.
Well, so these are, again, both completely stock cars. The Corolla has one modification, which is it's on some Apex wheels, just because the owner, he has his sportier tires and then his daily driver tires. So one really interesting aspect about this comparison is that both of these cars are owned by the same guy.
So I must ask, why both?
So I got the GR Corolla first, and just kept watching YouTube videos, and a Civic Type R was something I wanted back when I was a kid. I couldn't resist the urge and made a poor financial decision for the sake of my automotive passions.
That's awesome. So are you driving them both often?
I alternate whenever I feel like it.
I've been a Honda fan forever. I owned an S2000 years ago. Modification-wise, what all do we have done to this?
Better brake pads, race fluid, race oil, so that it can handle the heat.
This is stock as well, correct?
The only thing I do have is a Velocitech snorkel on it. So what all that really does is it pulls air in from here instead of the engine bay for that bottom flap on the airbox.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
And then we have just track pads as well and fluid in this car.
Yes, that's correct.
And then tell me about the tires. I think the only thing, so for everybody at home, the Civic Type R came with Michelin Pilot 4S's.
Yes,
this came with the Pilot 4s.
Yes.
So these are a touch higher tread wear.
Yes.
So they may not have identical pace, but these are the tires that they came with from the factory,
That's
correct?
it. Yep.
Awesome.
Yep.
So it should, all in all, be basically a dead even comparison.
Right.
Is what we would see if we just wanted to go to the track and track these cars with some pads and fluid.
Yep.
Kobe's a Honda fan, but the GR is the more exciting, unknown quantity for him. He elects to go out in the little 3-cylinder first.
So we're heading out in the GR Corolla. Stoked to drive one of these because this is a car that I looked at buying. Same with the Civic. So I'm excited to give an unbiased opinion of how this thing actually feels. We're on track with some pretty fast cars, so this should be interesting. So I'm actually surprised at how stiff this car feels. It's very impressive. I expected the suspension to feel much softer, to be honest. So to feel this is quite impressive. So car's very quick, it seems. Car brakes very well. Like you said, we have some light duty track pads on here, so nothing too crazy, but car feels really good. It's nice and stiff, it's compliant. It's everything I ask of it.
With the shakedown lap completed, Kobe goes for a fast lap.
Brake early. Let's try and get to the corner and get that power down. So first thing I noticed, it's definitely pretty pushy on entry. That means it's understeering when you try to turn in.
The Trans Am cars passing Coby are so loud, in fact, they seem to have shaken the little Corolla into making an emergency phone call.
So the car is currently saying emergency call in progress. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure what's going on. We need to pit in and see what's happening.
Okay, are they injured? Do you know? I'm not getting that. I'm getting from that. Oh, hello?
Hey, can you hear me?
This is Robert Taylor Safety Connect. Do you need an ambulance?
No, I'm on a track.
Okay, sorry about that.
Can you hear me? Yeah, I'm on a racetrack. I just pitted in. Yeah, I'm on a racetrack. The car just made the phone call. I'm totally fine. I'm just driving around.
Okay, sorry about that, sir.
Yeah, no,
Okay, thank you.
yeah, thank you. So that's interesting. Never had that happen. We were on a really good lap. Car felt really good. I'm gonna go in real quick and make sure everything's okay. That's a first. So Chris is now in the car trying to pull that fuse for us. So for any of you GR owners, if you do want to track your car, please disable this fuse before an entire fleet of emergency vehicles show up at the track.
The fuse is pulled, and Coby is back out on track to try again. But unfortunately, he has some difficulty putting together a clean lap. Once.
That's a big hiccup, unfortunately.
Twice.
Yeah, this stinks.
And the third time is not the charm.
Whoa.
Finally, with the Corolla almost out of gas, he has clear track ahead of him.
You're slowed. Into the corner. Oh man, she's pushy. Holy cow. I'm going down a gear to try and get it to rotate more here in 3. I think it helped a little bit. Yeah, we're just waiting on the front end. Good bit. Push. Still pushing. Got a clean straightaway. Hopefully it doesn't go into limp mode or run out of gas, because we are low. Man, this thing pushes bad. We've already overheated anyway, so it looks like I get 2 flyer laps before it says that the all-wheel drive system has overheated. So we have completely overheated the all-wheel drive system, so I'm assuming it's just front-wheel drive right now, because it's saying all-wheel drive system overheat.
Thoroughly familiar with the quirks and features of the Corolla GR, now Coby will familiarize himself with the Civic Type R's oddities.
I've come to find out that to cut everything off, like actually off in this car, they literally call it the pedal dance on the forums and everything. I thought it was a joke. You can do the R mode here and then hold down, I think, traction somewhere, and it cuts everything off. But then apparently to help the car rotate, it uses the rear brake. So within like 2 sessions, you'll burn up an entire set of rear pads. We do not want to do that. What I'm going to do here in a minute is fire this thing up and try and get through what they actually call the pedal dance. And it is the most ridiculous sequence I've ever seen in my life. Put on the brake and hold, turn off traction control, turn on traction control, pull up e-brake, take foot off the brake, turn off traction control, turn on traction control, put your foot on the brake and hold, turn off traction control, turn on traction control. VSA. Now it's saying VSA. I think we're good. We're good. It gave me the squiggly lines in the top left. I think we did it.
So got to retrain my mind here. I'm used to all-wheel drive. So now we're front-wheel drive. Love the shift lights in the middle of the dash. Makes it pretty hard to miss. Oh Overall, car already feels very stiff. Man, that front diff works so well. Holy cow. You can feel it just pull you through the corners. Man, this car is so stiff compared to the Corolla. Holy cow. It's a night and day difference from a suspension standpoint. This car is very, very stiff. Holy cow, the car is very, very bouncy. I guess that's normal, I'm not sure. I'm kind of bouncing all over the place. Overall, I'm more comfortable in the Honda out of the gate from just like a stiff standpoint. The suspension is almost too stiff.
Now that everything's warmed up, Coby goes for his first hot laps.
So the car is very, very bouncy. It doesn't really feel normal. Yeah, it's bad. I'm not liking that at all. Very unpredictable, very hard to drive.
Coby gets more and more annoyed with the ride quality of the Honda.
Man, this car is violently bouncy. I'm not sure that that's normal because it is beating the crap out of me. And I'm sure this translates. It's like dangerously bouncy. Holy cow. Beating the piss out of me. We need to talk to Chris about this. I've never been in a car this violent in my life. It's like the dampers are like fully locked out for some reason or something. Holy cow. Get down the hill, try and put a lap together here. Staying fourth this time. It's got to be a bit quicker. Holy mackerel. Car is trying to kill me. I'm going to try and put this in sport mode. Yeah, so we're going to try a lap in sport mode and see if it's quicker than R mode. Yeah, sport mode, for whatever reason, is much more manageable and definitely feels a little less bouncy to me. Maybe? I'm not sure. We'll see if the lap time dictates that. Let's see. So we're way up on our relative in sport mode over R mode. That's kind of weird. I went almost half a second faster in the sport mode versus the R mode. I'm not sure what that means or why that is a thing, but we went faster.
So you guys thought we were done, but we're not. We have a surprise for you. We just figured we'd throw something in that was maybe a little bit cheaper than the Corolla and the Civic Type R. My buddy Devin here from Fortunato has gifted us, what do we call this, the golf ball?
It's the golf ball, yeah.
So tell me about it.
So it was a 2022 WRX. It was in some sort of hail damage because every panel is dented.
Yeah, I can see that. I wonder how much that affects the top line speed for us.
I don't know. Mythbusters, you know, it's supposed to be more aerodynamic, but it's pretty simple right now. It's stock engine.
Okay.
Stock power.
Yeah, and it's a stock power car.
Yep. We just played with suspension, so we have our Pro 2-ways, some of our prototype arms.
Awesome.
As well. And then it's just reliability mods. So we have the IAG air oil separator, and then we're on a 200 treadwear X-Comp tire, which isn't the fastest, but it's pretty consistent.
And we have what, pads and fluids as well, correct?
Yeah, we have AMS stainless steel lines and then Hawk pads and fluid.
So really quick, you mentioned arms. Are those control arms? What is that?
Yeah, so we have lower control arms, all spherical.
Okay.
We have traction arms, toe adjustment as well, and then in links.
Yeah, for our viewers at home, if they wanted to go and buy this car for $29,000-ish, how much would it cost for them to kind of somewhat replicate this in a way?
Maybe you don't need Pro 2-ways, but like a single adjustable shock with everything else we have on it, probably $4,000 or $5,000.
So we're talking, we'll go super conservative, we'll say 36 grand.
Yeah.
That's probably pretty high.
It's pretty high, but I think 36 is pretty accurate.
Gotcha. Yeah, whereas a GR Corolla or a Civic Type R is going to be closer to 50-ish probably with markups, etc.
Right. Yep.
Okay. So yeah, we're truly saving $15,000 with this car.
Correct. Yep.
So I'm excited to see what it'll do. How do you think it's going to fare against the two of them?
I think it might be quicker than the Corolla.
Oh, okay.
But it probably will not be quicker than the Type R.
So it's basically an OEM Plus versus two OEs, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
You can definitely feel the lack of the power that WRX has compared to the others, but it's not like abysmal. It's good. It still kind of gets out of its own way. Definitely get some pad knockback in this car. Eating up this GT3, baby. So for 30 grand, you can eat up a GT3 in the corners, baby. Look at that. This poor guy doesn't even know what hit him. Eating him up. And then he drag races you after doing that. Don't be that guy. So I eat him up in the corners and then he just runs away from me, but this is fun for sure. This car's definitely more compliant and flatter in the high speed, which is to be expected. This guy is just creeping in the uphill left end. Just holding us up the whole lap. Man, that's rough. So that goes to show you, you don't need a $150,000 car to have fun at the racetrack. We're in a $35,000 WRX that looks like a total peep, and we're out running this guy in a GT3, and it's great. This car is just so much flatter than the other two cars, so it's much easier to drive at a high speed. So that's the biggest takeaway for sure. High speed stability is just much better in this car.
Coby's comfortable in the car and finally has some clear, open track. Now's the time to go for a final fast lap.
We missed that brake zone completely. Let's try and stay with it. I think we can still make it work. Surprisingly, somehow made that work. On the edge, baby, on the edge. Just sending her. Go. All-wheel drive just really pulls you through that, where you can just kind of stay flat on the curbing, surprisingly. Whereas like other cars, you can't get away with that typically. You notice I just stay out way wide and just let the car carry me. And all you got to do is just stay on power. I would say the biggest difference is definitely through here. These fast sections of track, the car is just much flatter. The fact that I can basically stay flat up the uphill S's is pretty impressive, even though we're not going that fast. All right, let's try and nail Oak Tree here and find those couple of tenths we lost last time. Much better, much better. Yeah, relatives going way up, much better. Maybe our lap, but I will say the strengths of this car, with it being this stiff on the coilovers, you can drive it in exactly where you want to, whereas like the Corolla, it's so soft, it may do something awkward mid-corner that this doesn't. I'm going to brake a touch earlier to try and make up that time instead of going too deep. Yep, right there, that's what we want, and back to power. There it is, tons of time made up. So that's proof going deeper into a corner doesn't always mean faster. If you overdrive a car, it hurts more than it helps. There we go, I think that's all she's got, friends. Now I gotta go get a few more laps in each of the other cars just so we can have a really good comparison. So this car feels very similar to the WRX in drivability and driving style for sure. It's obviously not as stiff like we talked about because the WRX has so much stiffer suspension, but as far as like driving itself, it feels very, very similar. Best Oak Tree we've had all day, I think. Alrighty guys, so I have it in R mode, but I think I manually went in and changed it to comfort mode settings for suspension. It seems like Everything I've read and everyone I've talked to, it's faster because it's just so much softer. Yeah, so it's definitely not switching over to comfort. I don't know why. So we're just gonna have to run it in sport, I guess.
Coby turns a handful of laps in the Civic, squeezing out a couple of extra tenths. But then, the ultra-low profile sidewall of the Type R tires causes a problem.
Oh, no, that's not good. I think we knocked the tire off the wheel. Hey Siri, call Ben Lynn.
Caught a little too much curb, I think, and DB'd the right front tire, so have to figure that out. Hopefully no wheel damage, but that might be doubtful. I've never seen anything like this in my life. It's totally fine. Like the sidewall is, holy cow. I don't see anything.
The harsh curbing of VIR combined with the 265/30/19 tires of the Civic have resulted in a blown sidewall. Luckily, Quantum Speedworks VIR has a used customer tire they're willing to loan us to get the CTR home, and don't worry, after this event, we replaced Chris's tire.
All right, this is Coby. Let me walk you through my fast laps of all three of these cars at VIR. All three are confident under braking, but the Civic and the Corolla broke a bit better than the WRX. And the WRX, I completely missed the apex on my fastest lap. We made it work, but it's not ideal, and there were a couple tenths in turn one if I didn't miss my braking zone. So the Civic was easier to turn in than the other two cars. The GR is set up to inherently understeer from the factory, and it was by far the hardest car to get to turn in of the three. So the Civic makes it much more apparent through turn 4 how much crisper the turn-in is, because I can get to the apex so much quicker. Where I have to wait quite a bit longer in the two all-wheel drive cars, this is where the Civic really starts to pull away. The Civic is so stiff that it's unpredictable at high speed, especially on the curbing, whereas I'm almost flat through the throttle all the way through the uphill S's in the WRX because the suspension is damped so well for the chassis. The Corolla has the opposite problem of the Civic though, where the suspension isn't stiff enough and the car is way too slow to your input and there's way too much pitch and unpredictability at high speed. The WRX pulls away from the Corolla through the twisties, but then once you get to the straights, the GR's mid-range power really starts to show its superiority on the straightaway. By now, you can probably tell the Civic has quite a healthy lead on the other two cars. It did have a higher top speed by 2 miles an hour, but it's been building a gap for the entire lap. While the Civic and WRX are going through the last series of corners on track called Hog Pen, the Corolla, meanwhile, is in understeer city. It just doesn't want to turn.
All right, it has been a long day. Coby has been slinging all three of these cars all day to the point that some of them have been breaking. But before we get to the results, just want to give a quick shout out to everybody who made this possible, most notably Chris, who brought 2 of his hot hatches out here. We couldn't have done it without you, Chris, so thank you very much. Also Fortunato for bringing out their track weapon, the WRX. Thank you guys very much for letting us use that. Huge thanks to Track Advantage for facilitating this whole event. We could not have filmed this without Track Advantage's hospitality. They put on a great HPD event. You should come and try it out for yourself.
Without further ado,
let's talk times, Coby. You thought that this was going to be a second or 2 seconds faster than this.
Yep.
And what did this wind up running?
So old girl right here ran a 2:14.9.
2:14.9.
Yep.
Not a slow time. Very respectable.
Yep.
And what did you run in this?
2:12.5.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
So 2.5 seconds quicker.
Yep. I knew they would be close. I expected, like I said, second half to 2 seconds. It was more like 2.5 seconds. Sure, could a little bit of it be the tires? Maybe half a second. So 2 second delta. But yeah, it was right in the window, I thought. They both drive very differently and feel drastically different. And the Civic is truthfully one of the stiffest cars I've ever driven on track, and I've driven a lot of stuff.
So these cars seem like they both have like weird things from the factory. This, it overheats.
Yep.
It maybe doesn't rotate as well as you might want.
Yeah.
This, the suspension for whatever reason is just insanely stiff.
It's damped for like a 4,000-pound Camaro or BMW. It's
Yeah.
like what that feels like it should be.
And traction control like cannot be turned off without putting a cheat code into an NES game or something like that.
Yeah, so my verdict is this did exactly what was expected. I could get about 2 wide open hot laps out of the car, and that's about it before it didn't want it anymore. The Civic, the only thing I saw with that was oil temperatures got pretty darn high. 2 or 3 laps in that, she started getting really hot. Never went into limp mode. I'm assuming it maybe pulled a little bit of timing with how hot it got, but those were kind of the 2 nuances between the 2 of them that I saw.
Our spoiler,
Yeah.
the WRX, is a $29,000 car. They put $6,000 or $7,000 worth of mods on it, maybe.
Yeah.
Right. Looking at a $35,000 value somewhere in that ballpark.
Yes, sir.
What did you run in the WRX?
214.7.
Oh.
So it was actually quicker than the GR Corolla.
Yeah, by 0.2 of a second.
And the most shocking part of that car, still stock calipers, rotors, all that, it just has pads and fluid. I ran the snot out of that for an entire 30-minute session, and it lived the whole time.
In a Subaru.
Yep, and I tell everyone, do not track Subarus. And it lives, somehow lives, and it was as quick as the GR. Now, obviously, the times were made much differently, right? And the high-speed feel of that car was much more confidence-inspiring because it had the stiffer suspension. When you add that suspension, high-speed places like this just feel much more comfortable. You can be much more confident, and that's the speed differential.
Yeah.
It's all there.
You slap a tune on that thing, you come out here, you run 210s, and then you blow it up. So
Yeah.
not too much more to say here. Thank you guys very much for watching. This has been an absolute blast. Thank you very much, Coby. Appreciate you.
Thank you. It was
And
a
thank
blast.
you guys for watching.